Tonight we're diving into 4 true Uber horror stories. Real accounts from people who thought they were just catching a ride home. They trusted a stranger behind the wheel, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmare. These stories come from both drivers and riders, and each is a chilling reminder that convenience can come at a terrifying price. So turn down the lights, lock your doors, and let's get started. Our first story comes from an Uber driver we'll call Derek. He's a regular guy just trying to make a living, navigating the late-night city streets. He's seen his fair share of strange passengers and odd requests, but nothing could have prepared him for the chilling encounter he was about to experience. This is a story that blurs the line between the convenience of modern technology and the unsettling feeling of being watched, of having your privacy invaded in the most disturbing way imaginable. Derek had seen it all, the good, the bad, and the downright weird, until one seemingly ordinary Tuesday night. The city was cloaked in darkness, the streetlights casting long, eerie shadows. Little did he know that this night would be different, that he was about to pick up a passenger who would turn his world upside down and leave him questioning everything he thought he knew about safety and anonymity in the digital age. He accepted a ride request and pulled up to a dimly lit bus stop on the outskirts of town, the kind of place where the silence is broken only by the hum of distant traffic and the occasional rustle of leaves. It was an unassuming location, but it was here that Derek's nightmare began. He scanned the area, looking for his passenger, a sense of unease creeping in as he waited. A figure emerged from the shadows. The man was tall, gaunt, and eerily silent as he approached the car. There was something unsettling about his presence, a stillness that made Derek's skin crawl. He slipped into the back seat without a word, his silence amplifying the already tense atmosphere in the car. As they drove, the silence was deafening. Derek tried to focus on the road, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Then John broke the silence with a question that sent a chill down Derek's spine. "You live around here, Derek?" The casualness of the question was unsettling, but it was the familiarity that truly terrified him. Derek froze, his heart pounding in his chest. How did this stranger know his name? He never used his real name on the app, always opting for a pseudonym to protect his privacy. This was a clear violation, a sign that this passenger knew more than he should. The sense of unease quickly morphed into sheer terror. John continued, his voice a low, menacing whisper. "I know you live at 247 Elm Street." The specificity of the address confirmed Derek's worst fears. This wasn't a coincidence. This man had been watching him, stalking him. He knew where he lived, where he was supposed to feel safe. He went on, "Your wife, Sarah." Derek's mind raced. How much did this man know? Was Sarah in danger? The thought of his wife being threatened sent a surge of adrenaline through his veins. He had to protect her, but he felt helpless, trapped in his own car with a predator. "Your dog Buster." The mention of his beloved pet was the final straw. This man wasn't just a threat to Derek, he was a threat to his entire family. The violation was complete, the sense of security shattered. Panic surged through Derek like a jolt of electricity. He realized this wasn't a random passenger looking for a ride, he was being deliberately targeted, hunted. He was no longer in control. He was a pawn in someone else's twisted game. They arrived at the destination John had initially entered, but the man refused to get out of the car. He just sat there, a silent, menacing presence in the back seat, his intentions unclear. The air was thick with tension, the silence broken only by the sound of Derek's ragged breathing. Then he spoke again, his voice dripping with malice. "I think you should take me to your house now, Derek." The demand was chilling, a clear indication of the danger Derek was in. He knew he couldn't comply, but he also knew that refusing could have dire consequences. Derek, summoning every ounce of courage he had, demanded that John leave his car immediately, but John just smiled, a slow, unsettling grin that revealed the darkness within him. It was a smile that promised pain, a smile that said he was in control. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, John glanced outside, seemingly changed his mind and slipped silently into the night, disappearing into the shadows as if he were never there. The suddenness of his departure left Derek reeling, unsure of what had just happened. Shaken to his core, Derek tried to report the ride to Uber, hoping to alert them to the dangerous individual he had encountered. He needed to warn others, to prevent this from happening to anyone else. But what he discovered next was even more disturbing. The trip had vanished from his app. No record of it, no trace that it had ever happened. It was as if the entire encounter had been erased, leaving Derek with no proof of what he had experienced. The digital trail, the very thing that was supposed to provide security and accountability, had simply disappeared. Understandably terrified, Derek never drove for Uber again. The experience had shattered his sense of security, leaving him paranoid and distrustful. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was still being watched, that John was still out there, lurking in the shadows. To this day, he obsessively double-checks his locks, haunted by the memory of the silent stalker who knew everything about him. He installed security cameras, upgraded his alarm system, and became hyper-vigilant, constantly scanning his surroundings for any sign of danger. Was it a glitch in the system, a technological malfunction, or was it something far more sinister, a deliberate act of manipulation by someone with access to his personal information? The question continues to plague him, fueling his paranoia and fear. For 15 terrifying minutes, Derek was trapped in a confined space with a monster, a predator who knew his name, his address, his family. 15 minutes that changed his life forever, and the digital trail that was meant to protect him, to provide a record of his journey, simply disappeared, leaving him vulnerable and exposed. It was a chilling reminder of the fragility of privacy in the digital age. Sometimes the scariest rides are the ones that leave no trace, the ones that vanish without a trace, leaving you to question your sanity and wonder if it was all just a nightmare. But for Derek, it was a nightmare that became his reality. Our next story is from Maria, a college student driving late nights for Uber. She picked up Chris, a polite but sad young man, after a night out. As they neared his destination, Chris grew anxious. "Just drop me at the corner," he said. Maria watched him walk away, but moments later, saw him sitting on the porch of the house, impossibly fast. Confused, she drove off, but heard a tapping from the back seat. Chris was there again, pale and sorrowful. "I can't leave, not until I see them," he pointed to the house. "My parents died here, I was in the back seat." Maria turned to look. He was gone. Later she learned a family, including a son named Christopher, had died in a crash at that address years before. She realized she'd given a ride to a ghost. Sometimes the past hitches a ride, and you never know who's really in your back seat. Maria never drove that route again. Some passengers are impossible to forget, and some never really leave. Not all horror stories start in a car, stranded on a deserted road, or in a creepy old house. Sometimes the most terrifying tales begin in the most ordinary of places, disguised as everyday conveniences. They lurk in the digital world, waiting for an opportunity to seep into our reality. Chloe's began with a food delivery, a simple act of ordering dinner after a long day. She was tired, didn't feel like cooking, and the promise of Thai food delivered right to her doorstep was too tempting to resist. Little did she know, this seemingly harmless decision would soon turn into a terrifying ordeal. She ordered Thai food, pad see with extra peanuts, and her driver Mark seemed normal enough through the app. His profile picture was unremarkable, his rating was decent, and the estimated arrival time was within the usual window. Nothing about the transaction raised any red flags, at least not initially. He picked up the order, confirmed the delivery, and was on his way. Chloe settled in to watch TV, anticipating her meal. The app pinged, notifying her that Mark was approaching. A few minutes later, she heard a noise at her door, not a knock, but a faint, unsettling scratching. It was a sound that sent a shiver down her spine, a primal instinct warning her that something was amiss. Curiosity and a growing sense of unease compelled her to investigate. Peering through the peephole, she saw Mark standing motionless on her porch. He wasn't holding the food, he wasn't ringing the doorbell, he was simply standing there, staring directly at the door. His posture was stiff, his face unreadable in the dim porch light. Then her phone buzzed, a jarring interruption to the already unsettling scene unfolding outside her door. She hesitantly picked it up, her heart pounding in her chest. The message was from an unknown number. "I know you're watching me. You look pretty through the peephole." The words seemed to crawl off the screen, each syllable a venomous bite. Terror set in, a cold wave washing over her. The realization that she was being watched, that her privacy had been violated, was deeply disturbing. He had her number, somehow obtained through the delivery app or some other nefarious means. The digital connection had become a terrifying personal intrusion. Her address, displayed prominently on the order confirmation, now a beacon for this stranger. The anonymity she had taken for granted was shattered, and knew she was alone, vulnerable in her own home, a prisoner of fear. The simple act of ordering food had transformed her sanctuary into a potential trap. Suddenly, a stroke of luck. Her neighbor, Mr. Henderson, arrived home, his headlights cutting through the darkness. He noticed Mark's strange behavior and confronted him, his presence a shield against the unknown threat. Mark fled, disappearing into the night, but Chloe was shaken to her core, the sense of violation lingering like a phantom touch. Mr. Henderson, a retired cop with a keen eye and a protective instinct, immediately called the police, recognizing the danger Chloe was in. He gave them Mark's description, his car details, and any other information that could help them track him down. Hours later, police found Mark circling the neighborhood, a predator returning to its hunting grounds. He was waiting for another chance, another opportunity to prey on an unsuspecting victim. It turned out he had a history of stalking women through delivery apps, exploiting the convenience for his own twisted desires. Chloe, understandably, never used a food delivery app again, the convenience forever tainted by fear. Sometimes the monster isn't trying to get in your car, lurking in the shadows of a parking lot. Sometimes you invite them to your door, unknowingly opening the gateway to your own personal nightmare. The fear lingered long after Mark was gone, a constant reminder of the vulnerability she had experienced. Always be aware of your surroundings, both online and offline, because you never know who's on the other side of that screen, that door, that seemingly harmless interaction. A simple meal almost became a nightmare, a testament to the hidden dangers that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Trust, once broken, is hard to regain, and the sense of security can be shattered in an instant. Be vigilant, be cautious, and always prioritize your safety. Our final story is a stark warning. A cautionary tale ripped from the headlines, a nightmare scenario that highlights the vulnerabilities we face in our increasingly connected world. It's a story about trust, deception, and the importance of vigilance in the face of potential danger. Sometimes the car you get into isn't your Uber at all. It's a chilling reality that underscores the need for constant awareness and a healthy dose of skepticism when utilizing rideshare services. The convenience we've come to rely on can be easily exploited, turning a simple ride home into a terrifying ordeal. After a concert, the energy was high, the crowd was thick, and the atmosphere was electric. Ben and Sarah, caught up in the post-concert euphoria, were swept up in the chaos of the departing crowd, eager to get home after a night of music and excitement. Little did they know, their night was about to take a dark and dangerous turn. In the confusion, a silver Camry pulled up to the curb and the driver called out Ben's name. It seemed like their ride had arrived, a welcome sight amidst the throng of people. Exhausted and wanting to get home, they didn't think twice and got into the back seat, unknowingly stepping into a trap. But as they settled in, Ben glanced at his phone. The app showed their real driver was still minutes away, a discrepancy that sent a shiver of unease down his spine. Something wasn't right. The car they were in didn't match the app, and the driver's face was unfamiliar. The man behind the wheel, noticing their hesitation, offered a strained smile. Then, with a click that echoed in the confined space, he locked the doors, sealing their fate within the vehicle. The sound was a clear signal. This was no ordinary ride. Instead of heading towards the main road, the driver veered sharply, turning down a dark side street, a narrow alleyway shrouded in shadows. The streetlights flickered ominously, casting long, distorted shadows that danced across the car's interior, amplifying the growing sense of dread. The driver's eyes met theirs in the rearview mirror, a chilling smile spreading across his face. "You're in my car now," he said, his voice laced with menace as he revealed a glinting knife, the cold steel reflecting the dim light. The reality of their situation crashed down upon them. They were in grave danger. Panic threatened to overwhelm them, but Ben knew they had to act fast. He leaned towards Sarah, his voice barely a whisper. "When I say now, run. Don't hesitate. Just run as fast as you can." Their survival depended on a split-second decision and unwavering courage. As they approached a red light, Ben saw his opportunity. With a surge of adrenaline, he lunged for the knife, grabbing the driver's wrist in a desperate attempt to disarm him. A fierce struggle ensued, the small car becoming a battleground for their lives. Reacting instantly, Sarah reached for the door handle, her fingers fumbling with the lock. Finally, with a click, she unlocked her door, a beacon of hope in the terrifying darkness. As the light turned green, Ben managed to wrestle the knife away from the driver. Seizing their chance, they both escaped into the street, adrenaline coursing through their veins. They didn't look back, their only thought was to get away, to find safety in the anonymity of the city. Breathless and terrified, they flagged down a passing police car, recounting their harrowing experience. The police launched an immediate search, but the imposter had vanished into the night, leaving no trace behind. Ben and Sarah were lucky to survive their ordeal, escaping with their lives. But the psychological scars remained, a constant reminder of the night their trust was betrayed and their safety was threatened. The memory of the knife, the menacing smile, and the dark alleyway would forever haunt their dreams. Predators exploit our trust and distraction, preying on our vulnerability when we least expect it. They lurk in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike, to take advantage of our reliance on convenience and our willingness to believe the best in people. Always check the license plate of the vehicle against the one displayed in the app. A simple comparison can be the first line of defense against a potential imposter. Confirm the driver's name and ask them to verify who they are picking up. A legitimate driver will readily provide this information, ensuring you are getting into the correct vehicle. And never let your guard down, especially when you're tired or distracted. Pay attention to your surroundings, trust your instincts, and be prepared to act if something feels wrong. That small detail, that extra moment of vigilance can save your life, preventing you from becoming another victim of a senseless crime. Ben and Sarah's story is a chilling reminder that not every ride is safe, and that the convenience of ride-sharing comes with inherent risks. It's a call to action, urging us to be more cautious and proactive in protecting ourselves. Don't ever assume that the person picking you up is who they say they are. Verify their identity and the details of the ride before getting into the car. Your safety is worth those extra seconds, those few moments of verification that could mean the difference between a safe ride home and a terrifying encounter. Prioritize your well-being and make informed decisions every time you use a rideshare service. That's the end of our journey into the dark side of ride-sharing. 4 stories, 4 chilling reminders that the real monsters might be closer than you think. These aren't meant to scare you, but to keep you aware. Always double-check your ride, trust your instincts, and stay safe. If something feels wrong, get out and call for help. Share your own stories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true horror. Until next time, lock your doors.